The Haliburton Highlands set the scene once again for the 66th running of the Corduroy Enduro. This rugged northern landscape is both beautiful and challenging. It's one of the biggest players in this 3-day-long finale of the Canadian National Enduro Championship. Over 300 riders from across Canada and the U.S. meet up each September to test their mettle against the terrain, conditions, and each other. Standing in the way of that top step of the podium for these elite riders, 22 test sections over 3 days of competition. 350 kilometers of rugged Canadian Shield terrain. Stay tuned for lots of never-before-seen footage of the Promation Corduroy Enduro presented by GP Bikes, including lots of racing action from 34 cameras, 5 drones, and unprecedented helmet camera footage from our top pro riders. All as the Promation Corduroy Enduro, Canada's National Championship finale weekend, here on Rev TV.
Let's go on.
This broadcast of the Promation Corduroy Enduro is brought to you in part by Promation, world-class automation, robotics, and tooling systems. GP Bikes has you covered head to toe. Kawasaki, let the good times roll. Hello everyone and welcome to the 66th running of the Promation Corduroy Enduro presented by GP Bikes. Pat Gonzalez along with 7-time Cord champion Blair Sharpless. And Blair, this event just gets bigger and better every year. You've gone to 3 days and 22 grueling tests for the pro and expert riders.
Yeah, I think the pro and expert will be tired by the end of Sunday. Plus they have Dash for Cash today, just an added little thing for the spectators, and then they've got the final moto on Sunday. So a lot of racing, but we've got great weather again. 4 years in a row we've had super weather, which is unusual, but we did 10 years in the rain, so I think we're due.
Well, we also have today the Vintage GP as we bring back some of the motorcycles and riders who were champions here in past decades at the Corduroy Enduro. They're only doing 5 tests, but that is a big test for these riders and some older machines.
Well, we've designed the morning loop for the vintage bikes. So the whole idea behind the vintage is to have a good time and you see some old buddies and look at the old bikes. And then tomorrow on Saturday, we put all the old bikes out there. It's gonna be a great day tomorrow too.
And Blair, we're also looking at the overall tally for this event. So far, 32 Canadian riders have won, 31 Americans, and there is a very strong American contingent this year.
Yeah, I'm very happy that we got some very fast American riders up this year, and along with a lot of Americans who are in the expert classes and that sort of thing, which is great because the Cord, when I first started riding in the 70s, half the entry was US, but because there's just so many events to ride and that sort of thing, you know, we just got to get the word out that this is one to be at.
Well, it certainly is. The racing should be superb. This is day one of the 66th Promation Corduroy Enduro presented by GP Bikes. The riders are getting set to move up into the starting gate for the beginning of day one. Let's go to our announcing colleague, Denny Chalkis.
Excited. I think it's going to be a good weekend. I'm feeling good. I think we get a bit of a break before the first test, so I'll try and warm up and give them hell.
There's the 1A machine of Jeremy LeBreton Blair all the way from Seattle, Washington.
Yeah, and walking up next to him, that's Matt Spiegelmeier there. Matt has ridden the Cord 34 consecutive times. He won it 3 times. Back when I was racing, he was one of my competitors. Anyway, Matt last year didn't have a very good time. He was still riding in the Vet Expert, and he watered out at the tunnel and got the bike going and finished. Now he's decided he can ride plus 55. He doesn't think he's wimping out after 34 years of riding in the expert class.
You're watching the Promation Corduroy Enduro here on Rev TV. GP Bikes is Canada's power sports authority. Your one-stop shop for parts, accessories, apparel, motorcycles, and service. Street, off-road, adventure, ATV, snow, and marine. Order online or come visit our 50,000 square foot showroom stacked floor to ceiling with all your favorite brands. Our friendly expert staff can help you get geared up for your next adventure. Find what you need for your ride at gpbikes.com. The Promation Corduroy Enduro presented by GP Bikes, 1953 to 2023. Join us in Gooderham, Ontario, September 21st to 24th. 3 grueling days of competition here at the Corduroy Enduro. 22 tests in all, Blair Sharpless, and here on day 1, we've got some toughies.
Yeah, the morning loop actually, though, is pretty easy for the pros and the experts. It's designed for the vintage. So the vintage actually have 5 tests in the morning loop. They're going to just get warmed up, get back here, get gas, and then they're going to go out for the afternoon, which is Greens Mountain. Pretty gnarly sections on Greens Mountains.
In row number 1, Jeremy LeBreton out of Seattle, Washington. Curtis Rumble from Toronto. Graham Rowbotham. Row number 2, Jean-Olivier Goulet and Donald DeRocher. Row number 3, Jeremy Lantier, Jean-Derek Cote, and Kevin Dupuis out of Calgary, Alberta. Row number 4, Francois Patterson, Tristan Hart from Invermere, British Columbia. Justin Brassot and Jake Michaud out of St. Matthew de Beloeil, Quebec. Row number 5 will have Philip Cheney out of Chesterville, Quebec. Chris Colbert-Costello, Ryder Heacock, and Kevin Benoit out of Deschambault, Quebec. Row number 6, Evan Smith from Jefferson, Georgia. Jeremy Dodelin, Connor Brogan, Theo Lepley, and Dylan McRitchie out of Williamstown, Vermont. In row number 7, Gabrielle Collette out of St. Bruno de Montarville, Quebec. Tyler Saunders, Charles Tremblay, St. Matthew de Beloeil, Quebec. And Nick Feringer from Englewood, Ohio. So Blair Sharpless, if you had to pick a couple of potential winners of the Cord, who would it be on both the Canadian and the American side?
Well, I think of the Americans. Evan Smith's having a great season down the States this year. He's running 3rd in the National Enduro Championship. And Nick Feringer for Sherco Canada. He's done very well in hard enduro type events, so I see him doing well in stuff like Greens Mountain. Phil Cheney's got to be the Canadian to wave the flag the highest. He's won the Corduroy the last 2 times. Jake Michaud, he won it in 2016. Connor Brogan last year really put on a show. And Tristan Hart, he's now the new hard enduro champion. Never been to the Cord, but I think for Canada, he's going to put on a real charge towards the front.
And so, Blair, under ideal conditions, we kick off day 1 with this test. As Larry's, it's been used before, pretty much single track, but a good way to kick off the Cord.
Yeah, to this point, they've done 30 kilometers of trail, just get warmed up. This is a short test. It's a sprint for the pros. And the conditions are excellent. You can see no dust, no mud. I think the riders are going to have a great time.
We go on board just one of many onboard cameras the pro riders will be carrying here throughout the weekend. Evan Smith does take the win here, Blair, in Test 1. I don't think any surprise there. He's been riding brilliantly well in the United States, but just 0.7 of a second back Tristan Hart. And in fact, when you look at the top 5, they're only separated by a little over 6.5 seconds.
Yeah, well, it's a short test, so that has a lot to do with it. But the riders are still getting sorted out. We run it a little differently here. We put all the pros at the front, 5 on a row. So they got to figure out who's the fastest guy on the minute, so they're not starting in front of each other, letting each other by. I see this is Evan Smith's row here, and he's gone off front. Connor's tried to hook onto him, and there's the U.S. McRitchie there behind them. So they're getting things sorted out. After a few tests, they will have it figured out who should go in first, because you can go a lot faster with a faster ride in front of you, because he's making the choices for you and the mistakes for you and choosing the line, because a lot of these trails haven't had riders on them for a year since the last year's event.
And Connor Brogan really hustling to try to stay up there with Evan Smith.
Yeah, we're on board with Evan right here. I haven't seen Evan ride before, but it looks very smooth. You know, he's not making many mistakes at all. We'll see how his weekend goes. I think this stuff is very similar to what he's used to riding. I believe he's from Georgia, sandy down there, and woods like this probably. But there's rock underneath a lot of this stuff, so that's what catches you off guard, is every once in a while there'll be a slippery rock just under the surface, or actually you can see it, it'll bounce you into a tree.
Evan Smith on board with the American out of Jefferson, Georgia, who has had an outstanding 2019 championship in the United States. Coming here for the first time, and Blair, he is learning these trails pretty darn quickly as he continues to run out front.
You can see, Pat, too, that this trail, because we've used it other years, it's pretty designated. They know where they're going. They're not making a lot of mistakes. We'll see later on in some, like I think Graham's, where we've got brand new fresh trail, and the riders' navigation is a lot of it. Can they ride with their head up and keep an eye on where they're going? And, you know, not just the trail markers, but they've got to look for the best line. You'll see some of them start to straighten out the trail. You know, we may have it arrowed around one tree because we're walking while we're doing it, but when you're at speed, all of a sudden the best line becomes straight through.
There you see the final results. Evan Smith with the win. We're on the transit from Larry's down to the second test, the dump pit, where Demi Chalka's caught up with some of the riders as they get set for test number 2, the dump pit.
It's single track. There really was no passing. I think we held a really good pace in there, but it certainly was tight. Yeah, for sure.
How was the terrain? Was it?
It's good. I'm from Seattle, so a very different terrain. Trail's in really great condition. It's nice to be up in the front.
Yeah, I think I did a good time, and I'm really happy with that. And the trail was good. It's not too hot, so yeah.
Tristan Hart, he was pretty fast, but it was really fun.
Perfect. What are you looking forward to the dump?
I'm looking forward to have some fun and throw a couple of jumps over there.
New experience for me. I'm not an off-road guy usually, but really cool experience. I went behind Eacock and Shane, and I had fun. I mean, looking forward to the rest of the day.
Perfect. Good luck up there.
Some fast dust stuff. The track was really nice. Just trying to fall into the beat this morning.
It's a little hard to see in there at times, but it's first ones through. We always run into that issue, right? So.
Yeah, so this is our first line off into the dump test. It's a nice sandy test. Looks like a lot of fun. These are our first shots from our racing drone pilot. He can follow the bikes around. As you see the weekend progress, he gets even better. He gets closer to the riders and that sort of thing.
Coming up, more from the Haliburton Highlands and the Corduroy Enduro. And now back to the 66th running of the Promation Corduroy Enduro presented by GP Bikes. Well, this is some interesting terrain here, Blair. Brand new test for these riders. A combination of single trail and then some covered over old dump pit areas. And now we go with the 6th group here, a couple of top riders, including our current leader, Evan Smith, on 6A.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that McRitchie went in on Evan's fender. So Connor, who was a real contender last year, he obviously realizes that McRitchie's setting a faster pace after that first test they did. So he's following McRitchie now. They seem to, you see how they can stay with Evan, even though he's going a little quicker. You got that guy to lead. It's just so much easier when we're on board with one of the guys with no one in front of him. Even for us, it's hard to see which way the trail goes. But when there's a rider in front, it's so much easier. And that's going to play a big role in the test scores this weekend.
And Smith was trying to go back-to-back here on day one, try to take this dump pit test after taking Larry's to kick off the day. And it looks like he is on the charge again.
This is so different, the terrain, from most of the stuff they're going to ride on, the sand. We've got a few sections of sand up in this part of Ontario, but you're going to see a lot of rocks. So this is maybe lulling the riders into a sense of security, because they'll see, the ones who haven't been here before, they're going to see very shortly what the terrain's really like around here.
And there you see the end of the dump pit. Test number 2 here on day 1 of the Corduroy Enduro. Evan Smith again the winner, just 3.2 seconds back. Philip Cheney, Tristan Hart with another good ride up there to finish 3rd. In the transit down to test number 3, Graham's test. We're on board with Connor Brogan on the Yamaha as he pulls to a stop. And Brogan, what is he doing here? Motioning over to McRitchie. I'm not sure what the problem is there.
Well, I think Connor's figured out exactly the order on his row. You know Evan is setting the times. McRitchie's going well. Connor figures, you know what, I'm going to hook onto McRitchie's fender. If he makes a mistake, hopefully we're still in sight of Evan. I can use Evan, you know. Here you see the front row here. These guys are all around the same speed. Graham Rowbotham, and he's got Curtis Rumble with him. They don't know, you know, in any given trail, anyone can be the same speed, so they're fighting each other. Here, look at the guys. They know exactly what's going on. Right into a row so they can set the fastest times, because the other guys on the other numbers, like Connor right now, he can't seem to stay with Evan, but maybe later on we get into the tougher tests where Connor shone last year, maybe that's where he'll make up his time. And these fast ones, which suit Evan, he'll let him go, but he'll try to make as fast a time as he can. Here we're on board with Evan right now, Evan Smith.
And he's running right at the front of this group of riders who came off on the 6 minute as he continues to carve his way. There you see he got off the trail there for just a second.
Yeah, he's straightening it out like we were talking earlier. The earlier riders in front of him have laid a good line, and most guys will probably take that line now it's there. The one risk when you straighten out the trail like that is, especially up here, there could be rocks, logs, whatever hidden under those leaves, so you don't know. So you're taking a little bit of a risk, but usually it's worth it. And as long as you're going in a straight line, you hit a rock, you know, if it's small enough to hide under the leaves, it may shoot you up in the air a bit, but it's probably not going to take you down. So they try to do that. Now he's caught up to a rider in the minute in front of him. He goes by him. That was Gavin Benoit. It's really good to see him out here. 2-time 250 motocross champion.
Indeed, Gavin Benoit, very, very talented motocross rider. It's a little different story here once you get into these tight trails, and you saw Benoit with some kind of a problem.
Yeah, now here, look, Evan, this is what I was talking about. This is a brand new trail. Evan's lost the trail. The markers are there, but, you know, he turns onto an established trail, and then he realizes he's got to go back the other way. So the rider who doesn't make the biggest mistake in situations like that and recovers right away. Obviously, Evan's a very heads-up rider. He knew right away, hey, something's not right. I don't have markers in front of me. Spins it around, he's back on the trail, cost him a second maybe. But then you see McRitchie right behind him. Doesn't cost him any time because Evan's already fixed the mistake for him. Well, so that's the real advantage to having a guy like that. So McRitchie is going to run towards the front of the class, the more he can keep Evan in sight. Connor's having a rough time here. He goes down. I think in this section, I think we've got tape of him falling 3 times. Obviously not the Connor we're used to. Connor's a very strong rider. Now the other 2 riders who Connor's quicker than have gone by him. He's got to catch them and get by them again. And in this trail, they're not that much slower than them. They don't want to give way for him. So it's going to slow him down a lot, you know. So there he's trying to straighten the trail out, maybe make some seconds back. I think that's Theo Lepley in front of him. He's going to catch back up to. And yeah, here he's catching up to Theo, and I'm not sure. Oh, and he goes down again. That's right.
This is going to cost them any shot at finishing in the top 10 in this 3rd test here on day 1. Graham's, as he has put it on the ground several times, and now pushing hard at the end to make up as much as he can.
Yeah, he gets by Theo there. Theo lets him by. Now I think he's catching up to Dodlin, and Dodlin, you know, he's racing too, and here Connor's not making time. It looks like Connor Connor gets up the inside of him, but Dodlin's got horsepower on him by the looks of it. So he doesn't get by him. They're right near the end of the test now. So I'm sure Connor is very frustrated with this ride.
There you see the race results from the Graham's test. Evan Smith wins his 3rd test in a row here on day 1. Tristan Hart has had 3 solid rides. He is in the number 2 spot in that test. Philip Cheney, another fine finish. He is 3rd. So Evan Smith on a roll. 3 wins so far. Philip Cheney right there, the defending and 2-time champion. And now back to the 66th running of the Promation Corduroy Enduro presented by GP Bikes. And so we're on board with Philip Cheney, the 2-time winner of the Cord, as we head back to the pit area here in Gooderham. Let's take a look back to earlier in the week for some behind the scenes of the Corduroy Enduro setup with Mike Bell.
Yeah, thanks, Pat. So let's go do a pit walk and see who's here and setting up. Catching up with Sean McKenzie here in Pro Row. You're the first ones here, and you had the longest drive.
Yeah, a little long drive. 38 hours we did it in. So.
And where did you come from?
Calgary, Alberta. So.
Wow. And how many bikes are you bringing, Sean?
16 today.
And how many of those are pros?
Tristan Hart, Kevin Dupuis, Shelby Turner, Melissa Harton, Jenny.
And they're going to be set up here on Pro Row. It's going to look really impressive. And any predictions for the corduroy?
Philip or Tristan Hart? Yeah. I'm going to lead towards Tristan.
Catching up with Wayne Brogan, Off-Road Ontario scoring director. How's it going for the corduroy?
Looking forward to the first motorcycle running off the line and getting this scoring system all set up and ready to go. Those are all the backpacks for all the out checks. That's what we put all our battery packs into, and all our reading and phones, and all the equipment has to get set to capture all their out numbers. Everything will be done through Live Laps online, so you can see it as an update. So long as the internet signal is strong enough that it goes back up to the cloud, then it's captured on your phones or on the monitors that we have here in the Gooderham Community Center.
I would call this a knockometer.
Okay, a knockometer.
You got a new shirt. I don't even have
and
the new
finally,
shirt
yeah, we catch up with Blair Sharpless, the man himself. Yeah, this is amazing. I mean, the crews are coming in, the volunteers are everywhere.
Yeah, everybody's going crazy. It's that, the last day before we start the demo ride, Super Demo Thursday tomorrow. And trail guys are out in the trail, finishing the final little touches on the Aero Wing. And yeah, it's an exciting time. We've got our bunch of Western riders have already arrived all the way from Alberta. So it's going to be a great weekend. Yeah. We got great weather again.
Yeah, and we're not
4
exactly
years in a row.
Yeah, we're wearing t-shirts. We're not freezing. We're hiding in the shade. I mean,
probably 25, 26 on the weekend. We might get a little rain just to put the dust down on the final motocross.
And Blair Sharpless, the weather has been spectacular so far and should be for what will be a very challenging test. A bit of a trail, but mostly a motocross section, and a great prelude to that final motocross test you mentioned.
Yeah, we put this together because the demo rides use this on Thursday and Friday. All the manufacturers are here with their new motorcycles, and it's good for the vintage. It's a very short little test, but we cut a trail along the side of the river here, and then they get onto the motocross track, which they use for the demos. And we're going to have our Dash for Cash on it on Friday night. That should be a good show. And then again, the final motocross will be on this motocross test too.
Well, the Super Demo Ride Thursday yesterday here at Gooderham was very, very popular. Many of the manufacturers with their demo fleets out, and they have suspended those demo rides while we get in this fourth test.
Pat, you see there, difference in the style there. You got Cheney on his 4-stroke, and then you got Ryder Heacock, very fast rider here from Ontario. He's on one of the few 2-strokes in the pro class here this weekend on his Yamaha 250. So he followed him through. Now we're back on board with Cheney at the end of the test coming in.
Tristan Hart, the Invermere, British Columbia rider, doing a great job here on day number 1. He's really hustling that KTM around the motocross.
Yeah, he looks good, doesn't he, Pat? Good style, standing up late into the corners, and then on the gas. It's kind of ripped up from the demos. Evan Smith, though, here he comes out of the woods with McRitchie right behind him. Evan, I noticed from just the shots we've seen so far, different riding styles. Sits very straight on the bike, very straight up and down and that. Very tidy, very neat. Bike's not sliding around. I think that's why through the trails he goes so well. He's just not making a lot of mistakes and a lot of extra energy.
Nick Feringer is having a good run here in test number 4. There he is on the Sherco.
And look at this, Pat. Connor's dropped back a minute or so. He's riding with Nick now. I don't know if he had trouble or if that's a strategy.
Jake Michaud there on the KTM. He is right there as well. This is a much stronger test for him.
Yeah, and that was Zach Attack from the States up here to ride his first corduroy also.
One of our top expert riders. He is all over social media posting videos about his racing exploits as we go back on board with Evan Smith. There you see Smith, Michaud, Feringer, Tristan Hart, another top 5 finish for him, and then Goulet in 5th. And as we look at the overall leaderboard, after 4 of 5 tests here on day 1, it is Evan Smith your leader, but just by a mere 11 seconds over Tristan Hart. Philip Cheney 3rd, Nick Feringer 4th, and Jake Michaud rounds out the top 5. And there you see the rest of the rundown. This broadcast of the Promation Corduroy Enduro is brought to you in part by Promation. Let us show you the value of automation. Kawasaki, let the good times roll. Jake Michaud is a past Corduroy Enduro champion, winning the overall back in 2016. We had a chance to catch up with Jake for his thoughts on the prestige of winning the Corduroy Enduro.
Well, the corduroy for me means a lot because my dad used to ride it and race it since a long time ago. So in 2016, I turned pro and he brought me here for the first time, and somehow I ended up on the overall win, and I was pretty happy with it because it was my first time, was my first experience. So I guess I was not stressed, and ended up winning. I was pretty happy with it, and I'm really happy my name is on the trophy right now, and it means a lot, yeah, for sure. Now I realize that my name is like close to some big names in the industry. I'm pretty proud of that, yeah. It's something on my bucket list that I did, and I hope I'm gonna do it again.
And now back to the action in Gas 2 with Mike Bell in the pits, where he's caught up with overall leader Evan Smith.
How are you doing?
After 2, I'm leading by 4, but I don't know. We're waiting on 2 more tests.
Okay.
To be scoring.
So the riders are going to have half an hour at Gas here. I know some of them are going to change tires to a gummy tire because of the slippery rock ledges on Greens Mountain. We got Evan, I know, put one on. I think Phil did too.
Putting on that sticky.
Yeah, you can see here that Evan's put a brand new one on, and I think our cameraman, he's showing you how flexible these tires are. It's amazing, but they wear out so fast, so that's why the riders don't run them all the time. Got a shot of the KTM pits here with the Gavin Benoit. Evan fueling up, and we'll be heading back out for a second loop.
And there is Natasha LaChapelle, a former women's champion here at the Cord, not riding this year because of that broken left wrist. And she, of course, is the wife of Philip Cheney.
Well, the riders get ready to head off to Greens. As soon as they're out of here, the manufacturers will be running demo rides on the course here at the start-finish area. We've got brand new models from Beta, Husqvarna, KTM, Yamaha, Honda, and TM all ready to go. Lots of people tried them out on Thursday, and the demo rides will continue on Friday.
You're watching the Promation Corduroy Enduro here on Rev TV. Pat Gonzalez along with Demi Chalkas in the beautiful summer sunshine in September here in the Haliburton Highlands. And Demi, today is Super Demo Ride Thursday. We've got all kinds of manufacturers with their off-road motorcycles ready to be tested here on this special test track that's been set up.
Yes, Pat, I had some time to go around to all of the different manufacturers that are showcasing their new models where people can go out and demo them. We have Beta, Husqvarna, Honda, KTM, TM, and Yamaha here. They are so excited for the weekend and for everybody to be test driving their products.
It's my first time trying any kind of electronic fuel injected bike, so I'm in the market for a new 300 next year, so this is going to be exciting.
And those off-road motorcycle demo rides will continue here in Gooderham, Ontario, both tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday from 11 until 2 p.m.
And Pat, you actually had a chance to catch up with Wayne Brogan. He's the father of Connor Brogan, who came top 2 last year in the pro class. Wayne has gone on test rides with the bikes here today. What did Wayne have to say, Pat?
I'm doing the scoring for Oppet Ontario for the corduroy this year, and my son Connor is participating as well, so I got to run gas for him. And enjoying the demo day, taking advantage of testing out all these new motorcycles. I've done the Huskies and I've done the KTMs, and next I'll try the Yamahas and then the TMs.
Well, it looks like we are going to have an absolute spectacular weekend weather-wise, Demi. Temperatures in the mid-20s Celsius, sunshine forecast, at least till late on Sunday afternoon. Hopefully the rains will stay away, and we've got almost 400 riders. It should be tremendous competition here in the 66th Corduroy Enduro. You're first, you got to be looking forward to it.
I'm having a blast so far. I can only imagine what this weekend has to offer, Pat. It's called Canada's toughest race for a reason, and I'm excited to find out why.
Coming up, more from the Haliburton Highlands and the Corduroy Enduro. This broadcast of the Promation Corduroy Enduro is brought to you in part by KTM, ready to race. The toughest test of day 1 of the Cord coming up. It is Greens Mountain. Demi Chalkas and her camera crew have made it to the top of the mountain.
Here at Greens Mountain, we just got to the top. That hike was so steep. We were all sweating, but it was very fun while we were doing it.
Who's leading this expedition?
I'm here with Rome. Rome, can you tell us a little bit about Greens Mountain?
Right behind us is called the 3 Steps of Justice, and it is tough, and you'll probably see only a handful of guys attempt it. And if you fall and you can't make it up, there's a bypass where you can go around, but it's going to add to your time. So I think the prediction for the chicken line will be after they loop out and they don't make it up, then they'll try the chicken line. But hopefully we'll see a few guys nail it and get all 3.
Good luck to all of the riders, and we'll see you soon.
Here we got line 5 going off, and now on board with Connor. Evan Smith in front, Dylan McRitchie as they start doing it. The first part of it, Pat, is some nice sandy trail, and then they get up onto the mountain, which actually was an old fire tower mountain. So a lot of trucks have gone up it in the past, and now it's a real rock crawler favorite place to be.
On board with Philip Cheney, there you saw him just go by. Natasha LaChapelle taking shots here on Greens Mountain.
You see, Pat, this is what I was talking about. This is the old road up to the tower, which has deteriorated so much now because of rock crawlers, ATVs, and the motorcycles. We try to get off of the main trail as we're watching Cheney go by someone and get onto some of the more difficult rock ledges. Here's Cheney just working his way up to those 3 sisters as we saw earlier. This is a drop off here. Good riders, the pros have no issue with this right up. The difficult part's right at the top.
And we're approaching the top. There is Jeremy LeBreton out of Seattle, Washington on the Husqvarna. He's got a problem.
Graham Robotham, he gets up the first one, second one, and now he's got a hard time with that third one. So we'll
having more problems there, Blair. He, I think, is going to have to look at that bailout lane.
Yeah, there's a couple riders that went straight into it. You saw Graham actually made it up. I saw him keep going. We'll see in a little bit, we'll see them come back across the top and you see how long that bailout is. It's definitely longer, so if you can get up these steps clean, that rider did a good job of the second step. And then they've got a side hill there. Here we see that first row finally coming across the top, so it gives you an idea of the time it takes if you take the route around instead of driving the steps. And there's Jeremy. You know, he had to bail out after not making it up.
You can lose an awful lot of time here in this section.
That's Tristan Hart. Did you see how smooth he was up the steps there? No problem at all. This is nothing for him. He's used to climbing stuff that's impossible for almost everybody else. Kevin Dupuis from Alberta has trouble there, turns around, takes another shot. He's got a good route up the side there. And up they go. Yeah, a lot of the riders getting through it. Yeah, but you know, overall, instead of taking the chicken line, they did really well. You know, they got up and that sort of thing. This guy's up on the pegs. Oh no, didn't get it. Yeah, so it's a good spot. If you make the hike up there, it's a good spot for spectating. There, that's Cheney, no problem at all, straight up. Good run for him. Ryder Heacock on the two-stroke has to do a little paddling, but straight up he goes, not wasting much time. So that's good. So there's Evan going up. Quite a difference in style. You saw Tristan up on the pegs. Evan sitting down when he hits it and paddling.
Coming up, more from the Haliburton Highlands and the Corduroy Enduro. GP Bikes is Canada's power sports authority. Your one-stop shop for parts, accessories, apparel, motorcycles, and service. Street, off-road, adventure, ATV, snow, and marine. Order online or come visit our 50,000 square foot showroom stacked floor to ceiling with all your favorite brands. Our friendly expert staff can help you get geared up for your next adventure. Find what you need for your ride at gpbikes.com. The Corduroy Enduro, Canada's toughest motorcycle national enduro since 1953. Chris Colbert Costello on the Yamaha, closely followed by Connor Brogan, who's moved around Dylan McRitchie.
Yeah, let's go back to the clip. We have a clip of where Connor got by Dylan. He picked a really good line here, hot line, right up through the trees. Got a great run at this ledge he got up, and that's McRitchie spinning off to the left there and doesn't get as good of momentum up that.
There's Jeremy Dodlin out of Mirabel, Quebec, having problems. He'll just eject.
And he's on the good line, so Nick Farringer doesn't get as good a drive up for the third ledge there. Has to get off and push, but looks like he's going to get up, and looks like Dodlin's going to get up too. They don't have to take the chicken line.
Both riders losing valuable time.
And here's Charles Tremblay. Looks like he's going to go for that line around to the left. No, he's changing his mind, I guess. He's heading over the chicken line now. He's not going to give it a try.
So he takes the bailout route, as several riders have.
And Theo Lepley, again, straight on to the bailout, not even going to try him.
Well, it's going to cost you a few seconds.
That guy had it decided for him. His bike ended up going that way, so he's going to take it.
A number of our pro and expert riders really having problems here.
Tyler Saunders, I think he gets points for style there. Didn't make it up though, and no momentum now to go further. So we'll see what happens. Zach Attack looks like he has no issue with it. I wonder what tires on. There's a great line off to the left there. Looks like there's some dirt still on the rocks. They're getting traction.
Tyler Saunders coming back for a second attempt. He's going to clean it this time.
Cameraman's got some injury. I think he caught some roost in the head. So is this Tyler's second try? Much better, much better. No, I don't know. Obviously he didn't change to a gummy tire for this test, the gas. Now we got two of them stuck there. See what happens with Tyler. Is he going to try a third time? Another sit down style. That's well, maybe he's got enough strength to push it up. Now it's getting really congested. We're out of the pros. We got the experts in here now.
And the expert riders not quite as skilled as the pros here, having their problems on the Three Sisters.
Here's Tyler, third time's a charm, I guess.
That's awesome. How you doing, Tyler?
Amazing. It's not about the score. I'm settling about the mountain.
Climb it because it's here, buddy.
Well, I guess that's good attitude, isn't it, Pat?
Well, he's going to give it one more try here to the left.
Yeah, he's got her made now.
And we go on board with two-time Cord champion Philip Cheney as we begin the ride down the backside of Greens Mountain.
Yeah, this backside, it's not bad to trail ride, but to do it at race speed is pretty sketchy. Graham Robotham, though, does a pretty good job, nice and smooth.
And running right with him there is Jeremy LeBreton, the Washington rider, along with Jean-Oliver Goulet, both of those riders right with Robotham.
And here we've got Tristan Hart. Now, Tristan, this is where he should excel. He should feel right at home. I really expected him to win this test, but I guess Philip Cheney, the familiarity he has with this test, because we use it every year, some years twice, and he's ridden the Cord many times. Jake Michaud coming down nice and smoothly down the backside also.
Jeremy Lantier in this group of riders. Oh, and going down hard is Kevin Dupuis out of Calgary. As he puts the Husqvarna on the ground, he'll pick it up and continue, but that's going to cost him some valuable seconds.
And here we've got Evan Smith, nice and smooth, just like all the other tests so far. And Gavin Benoit behind him. He's looking pretty good in the rocks here.
And now we look at Connor Brogan, a little bit out of shape, foot off the pegs, as he had a tough run there for a minute.
And Triple C, he's still in front of Mick Ritchie. Mick Ritchie hasn't got by him yet. They're picking their way down, heading off towards the Beaver Dam.
And here is Nick Feringer on his machine, the Sherco, having a pretty good run down the mountain as well.
That was a great line over to the side there. I hadn't seen anybody do that. And we got Zach Attack and Cam Harris. They're leading the expert class at this time.
Each one of those riders has won a test so far.
So tell me about that.
Oh my God, no way.
Yeah.
So my brother is Connor Brogan. He was second overall last year. He's killing it today, doing his best, and almost just ate it coming down Greens Mountain and made it look as clean as possible.
And we go on board with Connor Brogan after a pretty good run down Greens Mountain as he tries to move up here during our 5th test on day 1.
Yeah, so this is, Pat, now is at the end of the test. They've ridden a bunch more single track, and this is the Beaver Dam. And Connor takes a good line. He goes up over top, which isn't necessary at all. The water is so low. We're on board with Curtis. That's Tristan. He takes a minute to see what's what, and he tries up top. But then Curtis knows straight through the water. It's much quicker.
Oh, indeed, and now we go on board with Philip Cheney off to the left. Michaud, who looks like he went too far left, and he's
yeah, he made the mistake thinking, well, I can't see the bottom of the water, thinking it's deep, but it's just solid rock under there. And Cheney probably remembered that from last year. Straight through the water, fastest time in the test.
You're watching the Formation Corduroy Enduro here on Rev TV. And so the toughest test of day 1 comes to an end. Philip Cheney with the win on the KTM. Evan Smith, 2nd place to go along with his 4 test wins earlier in the day. Nick Feringer, a good day for the Sherco rider. Tristan Hart on his KTM, and Ryder Heacock round out your top 5. There you see the rest of the top 10.
You see that, Pat, with Connor. Connor and Ryder are very close in speed, and Connor, from the clips we saw, had a really good ride over the mountain and down in that. He knows the route, but he's 20 seconds slower than Ryder. And I think a lot of that is because he took the chicken line. It worked for him last year, but this year it was definitely slower.
Well, Blair, let's see what Evan Smith had to say about coming to his very first Corduroy Enduro.
Yes, this is my first Corduroy Enduro. We don't really have anything very similar to this at home. We don't have any 3-day Enduros or anything. Everything we do is 1 day. So yeah, I got out. Some of the other guys showed me around. I went and walked. I think y'all call it Greens Mountain or whatever. The really gnarly test. Looked pretty gnarly. Looks challenging to race on. I'm excited to get onto it. Also went around and looked at some other stuff. It's all pretty similar to, I guess, the single track. The regular trail is pretty similar to what we ride at home, so it's not too much different, but we'll see how the gnarly stuff goes. Yeah, so actually I'm from Georgia, which is like 17 hours from here. Luckily, I didn't drive 17 hours to get here. I raced the New York GNCC last weekend, which was I think about 7 hours from here, so that wasn't all that bad. And from here, I'll be going down to Morganton, West Virginia for the next GNCC. I don't know how far that is, but probably 10 or less.
American Evan Smith is currently leading the Corduroy Enduro over Canada's Philip Cheney. Smith trying to tie up those overall wins at 32 for the United States and add his name to that coveted corduroy trophy dating back to 1953. And so we look at the expert riders who had a great day one, 5 tests running with the pros. And Blair, we had 4 different winners in those 5 tests. But at the end of day one, it is Zach Cleland who's got a 19-second advantage over Cameron Harris.
Yeah, just like the pros, it's pretty close in the expert class too. I noticed on Greens Mountain that Zach was in front of Cam Harris for most of the ride, most of the footage we had. I guess he got by him there before the Beaver Dam in the finish. Must have found a way by.
Well, just 4.9 seconds separated those 2 riders at the end of Greens Mountain.
Yeah, so these guys were riding together all day. Here we at the steps, we have Cam Harris. He doesn't know what he's doing, and Zach straight up. And this must be where Zach got by him there, but then Cam must have made up for it and found his way back around him before they got to that Beaver Dam and into the finish of the test. But both obviously very competent riders. And Graham Midas, who's in 3rd there, he's probably still within striking distance. We've got 2 more long days to go, so great racing in the expert class.
Coming up, more from the Halliburton Highlands and the Corduroy Enduro. This broadcast of the Promation Corduroy Enduro is brought to you in part by Husqvarna Motorcycles, built for the challenge. So day number 1 of the Corduroy Enduro is almost over, but before we wrap it up, Blair, we're going to look at a brand new addition to the Cord Weekend, the Husqvarna Dash for Cash. They're going to be going for the big bucks.
Yeah, it's the idea we came up with this year. We're going to have them do a lap and a half of our final MX track. So it's anybody can win in a lap and a half. I think it's going to be pretty rough and tumble out there. We're going to take the top 16 riders from Friday's results. So the top 16 pros, put them into 4 heats, top 2 move on. Semis and top 2 from each semi go to the final. And the winner of the final, $1,000, thanks to Husqvarna.
And of course, the women will also be part of that Dash for Cash. We'll take the top 8 women pro riders. That should be just as thrilling.
Yeah, it's going to be great because we've got the women coming from all over Canada. And because they're not running on Friday, we're going to take the top 8 in the standings of the National Championship, along with any promoter's choice, too. That's my choice. So
the top women and pro riders getting set to do battle here on the motocross track. Husqvarna providing the cash as the riders prepare here for the competition.
Yeah, it's great to get the women out on the track on Friday night for everybody to see how fast they really are. And the pros, the top pros, will get out on the small motocross track we have here ready to finish. It's while they're doing this, all the amateurs are signing in for their 2 days of the Corduroy. They're going to ride Saturday and Sunday, and they've got lots of miles ahead of them too.
Well, a total of 8 women were invited, and that was narrowed down to the 4 that would go in the final. Shelby Turner, Lexi Pichou, Melissa Harton, and Janine Devin-Lamontagne. But it was all Shelby Turner in the motocross final. In our Husqvarna Dash for Cash for the pro women riders, Shelby Turner dominant on her KTM. There you see just attacking this motocross track. And when it was all over, she was the rider who picked up the $500 check courtesy of Husqvarna.
You can certainly see why Shelby's the American Enduro Cross champion for the women.
16 of the top pro riders went at it through heat races and a couple of semifinals to get down to our top 4 that included Kevin Benoit, Philippe Cheney, Jean-Oliver Boulet, and Tristan Hart. And the competition was intense here in the final with that $1,000 prize up for grabs. And when it was all over, it was Tristan Hart with the win. There you can see some of the real tricky sections on the track. There's Tristan Hart picking up the $1,000. The Vintage GP ran on day 1 of the Corduroy Enduro, And at the end of the day, it was time to give out the hardware.
With all the vintage trophies handed out and all the racing done for day one, it's time to go to the KTM Lounge. Quick riders meeting for all the riders starting Saturday morning and some interviews.
And so, Blair, it is so close. The top 5 riders separated by less than a minute. We should be in for an incredible Saturday and Sunday here at the Corduroy Enduro.
Yeah, Nick's got a flag here. Brings us back to the challenge. You know, 32 Canadians wins and 31 American wins. Or Nick or Evan, maybe this weekend they're going to even things up for us. We'll see.
So long from day one of the Promation Corduroy Enduro presented by GP Bikes.